He has written 3 business books, 2 horror novels, a whole Alice in Deadland series with 8 books, and about 5 to 7 thriller novels. I am talking about Mainak Dhar, who is an Indian author who wears the cap of a corporate person in the daytime and then is a writer at night. And you right now are watching one of my videos in the author series where I try to introduce you to some books by Indian authors. And if you have ever felt like, oh my god, why do Indian authors not write books like these? Then you need to look at what Mainak Dhar has for you. I did watch a lot of videos correcting my pronunciation, but whenever I try to film the video, I say it Mainak Dhar. It's Manak, and I'm sorry for not pronouncing it correctly. Anyway, without further ado, let me tell you about all the exciting books Mainak Dhar has written. I will begin with the one that I have actually read and that got me so interested in Mainak Dhar's work, and that is Sniper's Eye. This is the book 1 in the 7 series of Mainak Dhar. There is also the book 2 called Sniper's Debt that is also out. Okay, so let's start with Sniper's Eye. Sniper's Eye features this incident in a mall in Mumbai where there's a sniper in the mall, and our protagonist, our hero, is a person who's trying to run away from his past but eventually ends up in the kill list of terrorists. The book is really different. The action is so detailed and so amazing. I have actually reviewed this book while collaborating with the author a long time back, and I'll put the review down below in the description. And it's a must read if you are into thrillers. Now, Sniper's Debt, the second book in the 7 series, is again following the same protagonist, but now a few years have passed since the Sniper's Eye incident, and he is now married, he has a son, and he is on a plane for a vacation in Paris, and the plane is hijacked. But there is something very unusual about this hijacking, and he might have to join hands with his frenemy for, making sure his family is safe and all the people on the plane are also safe. Sniper's Debt is something that recently came out, so I haven't read that one. But I also started reading another book by Mainak Dhar because I felt so interested in his work, and that one book was 302. So there is this thing that happens in Mumbai. All the lights are gone, the cars have stopped working, there's no electricity, there is no internet, there are no phones, and people are starting to live life the old way because this is not coming back. But there is a sinister plot behind this. There is a terror attack, and it hasn't happened just with Mumbai, it has happened with a lot of places in the world, and there is a deadly enemy behind that. Personally, I have read half of this book, so I would hold my opinion about it because I want to finish it before I talk about it. But yeah, this is another interesting work of Mainak Dhar. Okay, so let me cover all the thrillers written by this Indian author. There is a book called Herogiri, in which there is a guy who is an assistant librarian in a Delhi college, and he is beaten up during a robbery at a bank. But after that beating, he wakes up with superpowers, and now he becomes this vigilante, hero kind of person. But his final battle is against an enemy which is forcing him to join hands with other sharks he did not like. So this is a superhero story, and oh my god, have you always felt like reading a superhero kind of story from an Indian author? You have one here. Pick it up and do let me know if you like it. I'll read it too. Another thriller by this author is Line of Control. It is set in 2012 where Al Qaeda, a terrorist organization, is trying to further its agenda for jihad, and the Pakistan has gone through a military coup, and in India there is a threat of terrorist attack, and it's on the brink of nuclear apocalypse. The story is set in this space, which back in 2012 a lot of similar incidents were happening, and a lot of it is just fiction. So but it is interesting, I feel. It is definitely a thriller material, and the good part is it is Indian thriller material. Another thriller written by Mainak Dhar is Viman. Now, I don't know about you, but I have personally always believed that all of the things that have been written in Ramayana are sort of true, like that Viman Ravan had, that existed, and those weapons they talked about, they did exist, and all of that knowledge is lost somewhere, hidden somewhere. And this book picks up that idea and introduces us to Aditya, who is a college student and a fighter pilot, and now he just discovers this hidden world, and now he has to work with gods and goddesses against a prodigal son called Kalki who has a terrible plan that he wants to work on. Another very interesting thriller is Hindustan, which, it picks up the idea that what if Britishers never conquered India and India was still being ruled by the Mughal emperors. And in 1857, when the Mughal emperor in that different world was ruling and was about to announce his successor, he is assassinated. And then we follow three characters who go on an epic journey trying to do what I could not figure out from the blurb, but like I still feel it's very interesting. The idea of Mughals ruling India. Now we are going towards a very controversial path here because I don't know what would have been worse, Britishers conquering India or Mughal Empire still existing in India. But, the idea of this thriller is very amazing, so I really want to read it. I'm actually so amazed. I knew Mainak Dhar has a lot of great works, but I never looked at those in detail. And oh my god, I'm so thrilled about reading all of these books because all of these are super interesting. Another thriller is A Little Mayhem, which is about this girl whose little sister is raped and killed, and now she is out for vengeance and she's out to prove that, you know, women can also fight back and women can also kill. Under no circumstances she's going to let these culprits get away with it. So, yeah, that's what the thriller is about. Now let's talk about the business books Mainak Dhar has written. Number one of which is Brand Shastra, which is a business and marketing book, which takes the idea that what if we could learn lessons about things like parenting, following our goals through the way brands have marketed and advertised themselves. So it just looks at those techniques and tries to teach you business and marketing lessons through those techniques. There's also a book called The Cubicle Manifesto, which is written in the form of a parable. Parable is basically a story or an illustration that is done to make a point or to make you understand a concept. According to the blurb, it is recommended for people who are trying to establish a work life balance and who are trying to deal with the stress that comes with the corporate life. There's another book called Brand Management 101, which is a branding and marketing book recommended for people who are either marketers or are just interested in business and marketing. Apart from these three business books, Mainak Dhar, in his life before he became a novelist and a writer, has written two books called Economic History of India and The Rise of Industrial Economy. It was way back in his college life when he wrote these books, which is just so exceptional. Like, how can you do so much? Anyway, there's another Mainak Dhar book that is called The Funda of Mixology, which is about this guy who is, wondering what is he doing with his life. His life is boring. He is fed up of his life and he's feeling like he's not doing enough. And then his life just changes in 1 week. How and what happens, that is what you can read from the book. Now let's talk about one of the most interesting works of Mainak Dhar, that is Alice in Deadland series. There are 8 books and it is about a world where the world civilization has ended 15 years ago, and now world is just like barren wastelands called Deadland. And Alice, a 15-year-old girl, has just grown up trying to learn to survive in this space. But her life changes when one day she follows a biter into a hole underground, and then basically it's just Alice in Wonderland retelling. There are actually 8 books and they are super popular, and I'm just so amazed that an Indian author has written something so different and so amazing and so interesting. With that, I'll also want to tell you about 2 horror novels Mainak Dhar has written. One of them is again something that features zombie and zombie apocalypse stuff, which is called The Chronicles of the Undead. It features a world in which the world has collapsed, and there is this writer who is still alive, witnessing this whole zombie undead stuff that is happening, and it's a story about that. There's another zombie horror thriller kind of book Mainak Dhar has written called Zombistan, in which there are undead Taliban soldiers terrorizing the world. And the story follows 4 people who are trying to get to a safe zone through the Himalayas. And it's a sort of adventure, come horror, come zombie novel. I mean, I don't know how much you know me. If you're watching me for the first time and you haven't subscribed yet, please, please, please subscribe. Hit a thumbs up to this video and do watch my regular videos and do check out more videos in the author series. But if you have been watching me for some time, you would know that I have a thing for apocalyptic novels and apocalyptic settings. So if I sound very excited about all of these zombie stuff, then it is because of that. I just love these kind of settings. It's just exciting. Anyway, we are down to our last book according to my research, which is a collection of 25 poems on reflection and introspection. It's called Face in the Mirror. By now, I think it's very clear that this author's work is worth checking out. It's just so amazing. It's something you have always been looking for. If you have always looked for fantasy, zombie kind of apocalyptic novels or thrillers, interesting thrillers set in India, if you have been looking for that, you have Mainak Dhar's work. So do check it out. I will link the books down below in the description. And yes, that's it for today's video. Do check out my other videos in the author series. Thank you so much for watching this one. This is Manvi signing off. I'll be back with another video very soon.